Welcome back. Well, it's Wednesday, and that means our top trio of MPs are here to discuss the issues of the day. Conservative James Rajat is chair of the Finance Committee. Megan Leslie is deputy leader of the NDP. Liberal Roger Cosner is just a hard-working, nice guy. All right, welcome to you all. Let me get your thoughts quickly, Megan and Roger. You heard the minister. The railway, the push to get the railways moving faster with all the grain backlog. Now, you guys haven't got a lot in Cape Breton and Halifax, but still, do you think the government's too little, too late, or how do you see it?
Yeah, I'll admit I'm not fully briefed on this because we've been in votes all afternoon.
Oh, yes, okay.
But I will say I think that the situation we're in right now could have been prevented. I'm not sure if it's too little, too late, but it should have been a while ago. I know that we are interested in maybe fast-tracking this to committee if there are no poison pills. And that's the key. You know, we have to sort of go through.
You don't trust this government?
You know what? I don't trust this government. I know I've said it before. I'll say it again, I'm sure. But we're really interested in the content of it, but we just got to go through it with a fine-tooth comb.
Roger?
Well, before the break, my colleague and seatmate Mark Eichen called for an emergency debate on the issue. I was very impressed that Speaker Andrew Scheer had supported that, and they went ahead with the debate. Obviously, he's got a lot of farmers that are impacted, but what came out through the course of that debate, and I had an opportunity to sit in on a fair amount of it, was that amendments have been put forward in C-52, piece of legislation on the rail, the Fair Rail, you know, everything's fair with the current government, but the Fair Rail Act, and the amendments well-reasoned amendments had been put forward, and they were kiboshed by the government, and apparently we'd be much further ahead had those amendments been accepted at that time.
Oh, there's that government again. Do you want anything to say, or should we move along?
I just want to echo what Roger said, that everything about our government is fair. I wanted to quote him on my brother. Look, I mean, as the minister said, this is a bumper crop. This is a 50%, you know, more than normal crop. So it's a good news story in terms of for the sector, but obviously it creates serious transportation problems. What I like about the response from Minister Ritz and Minister Raitt, not only the executive order that was done to try to, you know, get the rail companies moving more, but looking at the whole logistical supply chain. So looking at, you know, right from farmer right to the port to the ship, because it has to be a comprehensive solution if we're going to get the grain moving. So
yeah. All right, let's move along. I've got to get your reaction. Sorry, I always have you as sort of the guy shut out of this because there's government reaction already, but no, you're not. Roger Cosner, I mean, the government's fun with figures, if you will, these job calculations. They seem to be including Kijiji. I don't know if they're including Craigslist and all the formulations, but it does seem. Even Jason Kenney basically said we don't really know what the numbers are. Your reaction to that?
Well, I think they're onto something here. You know, they'll start getting their marriage and divorce stats from Plenty of Fish. Maybe had they gone to eBay with the F-35 contracts, they may have done a little bit better. And then, like you say, go with the Senate appointments. Go to Craigslist for the Senate appointments. So,
you've been thinking of that all day, haven't you?
Yeah. That one's
it's
been,
hard to compete with that.
You know, when you see the numbers that they presented, you know, parallel to the budget presentation, they were twice as high. When you look at CFIB, which are traditionally higher numbers than StatsCan numbers, combine those two sets of numbers, and you're still not as high as the government presented. So, you know, when you're trying to make a point to support, you know, rather than evidence-based policy development, when you're trying to sort of support what it is you're doing with evidence, if you create your own evidence, I guess that's all helpful. So that's where they went with this one.
What's wrong with Kijiji as being a basis for all government policy on job vacancy creation? And
I just wish that I had come up with those lines.
Yeah, that's pretty good, eh?
That was good. But this stuff practically writes itself, right? Because, really? Kijiji? To support your job numbers? I mean, it is really an incredible thing, and we asked about it in the House today, and we're a bit lacking for answers on this file. But this is the modus operandi. I mean, let's look at Minister Poilievre and the Unfair Elections Act.
I knew you were going to get back to that somehow.
Well, come on.
Okay.
He's up there being experts this, experts that. Yeah, the experts are saying you're misusing our work, you're not quoting us properly. I mean, government seems to just figure out what they need to say, and then sort of concoct the stats behind it, no matter how they have to do it.
Yeah, fun with figures and Kijiji.
Well, but to be fair, and you did interview Minister Kenney, and he's, as he pointed out, this is one data source. I mean, this is sort of the modern classifieds, right? So it should be used as one data source. If you look at a lot of the reports coming out, TD Economics has done a very good labor report as well. I mean, it points to some common things, which is there are pockets across this country, and my riding would certainly be one of them, where there are severe labor shortages, where we've seen very strong economic growth, and thus a lot of employers are having some tough time finding people. We also know that there is a skills mismatch in this country. I think MPs from across the country would agree with that. So I like the labor report that was attached as an appendix to the budget, and I hope we do that, frankly, every year.
But the TD report and the Drummond report both identify that, yes, there are sectors that have, where there are shortages, but it's not a crisis across this country.
But in certain regions, they say it is.
Yes.
Your area. Your area,
Regions,
there's no doubt, right? In Edmonton, there's...
In Edmonton, Leduc, Nisku, I mean, it's the #1 problem facing business in our area.
Yeah, okay. Right to die legislation will be introduced tomorrow. It's a private member's bill, so who knows where it's going to go. It doesn't necessarily have the government's backing. I just want to play a clip now by the sponsor, Stephen Fletcher, and here's what he had to say earlier today.
The most important thing at the end of the day is people need to be empowered to live and die the way they wish. And right now, we're doing all right on the living side, but on the dying side, you have no choice.
Yeah, that will be introduced officially tomorrow. Let's get a clip from Justice Minister Peter MacKay when he was asked for a response to this bill being introduced.
The House of Commons debated this issue not that many years ago. And my own view is I'm hesitant to re-enter and reopen this debate at this time.
Yeah, James, I don't recall this debate. Did we have a debate on right to die in this Parliament, or are we talking about...
I believe this was 2010. This was former MP Francine Lalonde, who was a Bloc Québécois MP, who raised the issue. So Parliament at that time, I believe, defeated her private member's bill. So I think that's what Minister MacKay is referring to. Obviously, we have to take very seriously Stephen Fletcher's position. I mean, he certainly has respect for an individual for what he's lived through. But in terms of what Minister MacKay is saying, it needs a serious look. But Parliament has dealt with this issue. It is a very challenging moral and ethical issue, and I think what Stephen has said to us is, take a look at the legislation. He's not asking that everybody agree with him, but he wants everyone to at least listen to his point of view.
Megan, what's going through your mind? What do you think? Is the party going to vote as a bloc, or is it going to be a free vote? And how do you see it?
For us, it'll absolutely be a free vote. It's a really personal issue, and interestingly, our caucus actually reflects what you see across Canadian society: people for, people against, people grappling with it. I think kudos to Stephen Fletcher for raising it. It is a really important issue, and it was debated in the last Parliament, which was a different composition of MPs. And also, the minister needs to remember that was only 2 hours of debate. Right, that's not a fulsome exercise like what we saw in Quebec, where they traveled around the province, where they heard from all different kinds of people. That was a real discussion. We had 2 hours of debate, and then the bill was killed. So I'm looking forward to hearing how this evolves. I think it is a big issue that we need to tackle.
It's one thing also, as you point out, Quebec, there's legislation that's going forward and gone forward on this. So we're going to end up, what are we going to end up with? Provinces that have it and don't? Don't we need federal uniformity somehow here, Roger Cousin?
I think we can have the debate on it. Obviously, Quebec, as Megan had said, is far out in front, and I believe BC has done quite a bit as well. I know, personally, from my perspective, I had a brother who was cerebral palsied, and my two sisters worked in an adult workshop, and my mother was very active. So those aspects of the whole issue really play into, help me form my opinion of it. But I think, I think most Canadians are comfortable at least having the debate. And coming from Stephen Fletcher, that sort of gives it a different presence and a different.
Because he was on the edge after I think it was a moose. He hit a moose or something.
He hit a moose in his vehicle.
But do it right and you know, don't manhandle it through the house, or don't gas it right off the bat. Well, you know, let's look at the issue and come to terms with the issue.
No, but in past, I mean, our caucus has had free votes on moral ethical issues.
Yes,
and I think as well, I mean, you have strong views in our caucus on this issue, and you're going to see people express those views, but we should also refer back to the Supreme Court decision, the Rodriguez decision. We should also talk about palliative care, which I think one of our other colleagues is raising up as
Charlie
a private
Evans.
members initiative. So there's a sort of a whole fulsome debate that needs to happen.
Because the Supreme Court decision coming down too on this at some point in time. So
Yeah.
I guess final thing, Alison Redford's that resigned on effective Sunday, and I raised this, and others have raised it too. James Rajat, any chance you might be going for the PC leadership in Alberta?
I thought Roger Cuzner was going to run based on his contacts in northern Alberta. Look, I've received a lot of advice from friends and family members and political supporters and contacts, advising me to run and saying they'd support me, some cautioning me against doing so. So I'm considering it. I haven't ruled it out, but at this
I'd
point,
go
I
to
haven't
Fort
made any
McMurray,
decisions.
the old stomping grounds, and I'd help run his campaign.
Go
up
away.
there.
Would you help
See,
for
two
James Rajat, right?
I don't know how much
because we look the same.
how good I'd be out there.
NDPers for Rajat.
You want me to
Alberta?
stay
I don't
away,
know
I
that.
think.
Well, you've got we got till September, I think, before the vote happens. So you'll announce it first here.
Leadership will be in September. That's
Okay,
it.
you'll announce it first here when you're ready to go, right?
I will inform you of my decision as soon as I make one, Don. Yes.
All right, James
How
Rajat.
exciting.
I'd hate to lose you from Ottawa, though, so think carefully.
I
about
always
it.
thought I was going to co-host your show, though. That
Anytime.
Was my
Here you go.
career plan.
All right, thank you all. We'll see you next week, I hope.